Good morning. Today you are going to be working on measurement. I wanted to go over a couple of things with you before you get started today, just to clear up some misconceptions and explain a few things to you before you get started on all your work today. It's really not that much, but before you get started on your math work for today. First thing, you are going to be using a ruler to measure. The rulers will be provided for you. There's a fun game for you to play, all that good stuff. But again, I want to go over just a couple of things with you before you get started. First thing, before we left for our digital learning days, we were in a fractions unit. One of the things we talked about with fractions is fractions on a number line. Perfect introduction for rulers. If we think of a ruler as a big number line, it makes measuring something a lot easier. So let's look at this pretend, very beautiful as you can see, ruler that I have drawn on my board here. Again, if I think of this as a number line, it makes these measurements a lot easier to find. Now, if you remember, we use lines and jumps to help us figure out what fraction we are on when we are looking at it on a number line. Can anybody yell out what's the first thing we do when we have a number line that we're trying to fill in our fractions? Can anybody remember? What do we do first? I hope I heard it. Circle our 0, circle our 1 so we know where to start and stop. So on my number line, on my pretend ruler, I'm going to circle 0. I am going to circle 1. Okay, after I have circled my 0 and 1, that again is my start point, my end point, what do I do next? We draw our arrows. This will let us know what our denominator is. So I'm going to draw my arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, third grade, if I have 4 arrows, what is my denominator? Yell it out there. 4. Exactly. So this fraction would be 0/4. Our first space would be 1/4. The second one, 2/4. 3/4. And then we are at 1. Usually we would fill that in as 4/4, but what we're working on today, we do not need to do that. If you know that that is equal to 4/4, I am so super proud of you. So that is excellent work, but we're just not going to need that for what we're doing today. So what you're going to be doing is working with quarters or working with fourths. If it is asked to you and it asks you to find the length using quarters, I want you to think about a quarter when it relates to money for just a moment. How many quarters does it take to make $1? If you're buying ice cream and you need $1, but you only have quarters, how many would you use? 4. Exactly. And look at our denominator here. It has a denominator of 4. So quarters, fourths, those are all the same term for the same thing, fourths. So these are the increments you're going to use today. One of the games has eighths. If you feel like you want to challenge yourselves and you want to do eighths, go for it. I love anybody who wants to do a challenge. That's awesome. Okay, so now that we have our fractions filled in, this pattern stays the same on every single place. So if you wanted to keep going, we have the 1 already circled, and we could circle our 2. We would fill in these same fractions over here. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Same in between, 2 and 3. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Okay, we have filled this in. Now, let's say I wanted to measure, this line. Now, the first thing I look at is the big number, these numbers that I circled. So I'm going to look and say, okay, I have the 0 circled. I have the 1 circled, but it goes past that 1, and the 2 circled. But wait a minute, it doesn't go all the way to that 2. So I don't need that 2. I need this 1. So I am going to put a line under my 1. It has gone to that big number, that whole number. Okay? But it has a little bit extra. It hasn't made it to 2, but it has a little bit more. That is where our fractions come in. So I look at what fraction it lines up with, and I see 2/4. So the length of this line is 1 and 2/4. Hopefully that makes sense, but let's do another one. Let me erase these. It works the same way. I'm going to erase my line, erase my red lines here. Okay, let's say I want to measure this line. Wow, that is a very, very long line. Can anybody remember? What is the first thing I'm going to be looking at? Do I look at the small fractions? No, I need to look at what I have circled, my whole numbers, my big numbers. Okay, so I've definitely gotten to the 0. Have I gotten past the 1? Definitely. Have I gotten past my 2? Definitely. Have I gotten past 3? No, not yet. So 2 is the last number it went past. Did it stop at 2? No, it did not. So let's look at those fractions and see what it lines up with. It's past 1/4. It's past 2/4. Oh, it's stopping at 3/4. So I'm going to underline my 3/4. So how long is this line? It is 2 3/4. I hope that makes sense to everyone. This is how you will find your measurement, and you will measure different things. Again, think of it as fractions on a number line, and hopefully that will help you out a whole lot. Have a great day, guys. Bye.